Okay, so how would I print this on a t-shirt? Now then, this is where we start to get a little bit more technical. Depending on the t-shirt, depending what machinery you've got. So I'm going to go down the road that you guys have got a transfer printing machine, which is basically, if you look in my ebook or my course documents that go alongside this, the transfer machine is like an Oki printer. It can be, obviously, there's lots of different makes of guys out there doing this, the transfer type machinery. Now, if you were going to print this on a white t-shirt, it would be very straightforward. And you always want your dream customer to come in and say, yeah, this is what I'm looking for and I want it on a white t-shirt. One, it's the cheapest way to produce t-shirts, and it's the easiest way. Because what you've basically got here is the component of the t-shirt is white, and you want to print this on top of it. Now what happens is, the minute that you need to print to a dark coloured t-shirt, you need to add some opacity, you need to add some white barrier between the print and the t-shirt. Let me just come over here and grab this t-shirt from the earlier module that we did, and let me just drop this down and move it over here out of the way. Let's change the colour to black, and let's change the colour to white. So we've got two t-shirts. We've got black and white, and your customer wants this printed, bang, straight on the front there on this t-shirt. Let's move that forward. That's Control Home to bring that to the front of the page, and let's just resize that. So I'm holding the Shift key down, and I'm clicking on the left mouse and I'm dragging towards the center of the logo and letting go. So your t-shirt, your customer wants that printed straight on the front of a t-shirt. So you've added the text round, you've power clicked the globe. We will get rid of that line by right clicking, and we can get rid of all of the lines. So right clicking on with the whole thing there. Let's break this apart. Well, no, we don't need to break it apart. What we could do there is then we could just take that component, we could export it. So they're printing a white t-shirt, we're going to go Control C, we're going to go across to a new document, Control V, we're going to stick that, this is on your A4 transfer sheet, and we're going to position this, let's say, here. If you're lucky, if you're really lucky, you might be able to get two on a sheet, okay? Probably not going to do it on this one, but let's just say, for argument's sake, you could, okay? That is your dream, really. I press C to align them. Now, if you're going to print this to a laser transfer for a white t-shirt, the next step is you need to flip this image because it needs to be mirrored, because what's going to happen, the transfer media is going to run through the printer, and you are literally going to, when it comes out of the machine, you're going to turn the paper over, you're going to heat press the paper side, and then you're going to release it under heat, and it's going to leave the print with its glue onto the t-shirt, and then you're going to reseal it. So I'm going to do a little video on that a little bit later, but for now we're going to flip it. Now, depending on the type of printer you have and the RIP software that goes with it, in most cases you're going to need to export this now as a PNG with a transparent background. So to do that, we're going to go File, and we're going to go Export, and we are going to go to change the type of file to a portable network graphic, which is a PNG, and we're going to call it Space Race Shirt or something. Space Shirt. Write that in there. And it's going to show you in a moment the preview of what it's going to look like. There you go. With the black text. Perfect. We'll press OK, and that is your t-shirt print ready. And obviously that's only A5, that's going to be quite small. And that is the problem printing with the transfer. Because if you want to be cost effective and you want to be able to get as many out per sheet as you can, always thinking about trying to get as many as you can. You know, I would say that would look pretty good on the left-hand breast, you know, as 100mm. If it was 100mm, check this out. So 100mm, let's just go, well, 100mm, because it's round, we could go 90. And so bearing in mind this one sheet of transfer paper is costing you about 50p, and the ink is probably going to cost you about 25p. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this out. So I'm going to group this object, like so. I'm going to highlight both, and I'm going to E to align that way. And then I'm going to go Control D, duplicate, excuse me, and again, duplicate. So this is basically giving me 6 per sheet for the cost of probably around 70p. Okay, that coupled together with your t-shirt that's going to cost you anywhere between £1.50 and £2, depending on what you use. You sell that t-shirt for £10, you understand, you get really good profit out of this job. So printing white t-shirts is like your dream. So there you go, that's your left-hand breast logo and your rear logo. Now then, coming back over here, let's make things a little bit more complicated. So your customer, he obviously doesn't want a white t-shirt, he wants a black t-shirt with white print. So what you're going to have to do in this situation is use a different process. So you can use the transfer paper, but as long as you have a white transfer toner modified laser printer, you can use a piece like a paper at the moment, which is like a 2-part paper. And what that happens is you print your transfer to a paper, and then you also have a white ink carrier paper. And what you do is you heat press the 2 components together, so your transfer paper and your white carrier paper, and you release it almost immediately under heat. And what happens is the print stays on the transfer paper where you printed it originally, but the white ink component puts a mask over the back of all the printed areas that you had on this t-shirt transfer, and it acts as like a good solid white mask. Now, there's good and bad parts to this, okay? One, you need to have a white toner laser printer, and they can be expensive. You can pick them up secondhand. I hate buying secondhand printers because I've done it before, and more often than not, people are selling them because they're worn out. If you go to a company like Express or one of the leading companies out there at the moment that supply t-shirt printing material in the UK and t-shirt equipment, then these guys will do you a really good deal on finance for a new bit of kit. Also, you get the backup as well. And again, I can't stress enough, really, if you're using these machines and it's under warranty, make sure you use the proper inks and the proper toners. It makes a big difference. And I do come from a printing background, and yeah, if you use the wrong inks in a machine, not only does it invalidate the warranty, but you know, you just don't get the good results as well. I know there's going to be people out there that are going to argue the toss on that, but I'm a great believer in just using the correct equipment. It doesn't save you a huge amount of money. So this guy, he wants this printed on a black t-shirt. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a Mackie or a Roland or a big print cut system, Roland do quite a nice desktop compact unit at the moment, which isn't too expensive. Then this is another way you can reproduce this t-shirt. So one, you have the 2-part white process that you run through a laser machine, and secondly, you can print this through like a print cut system. So what I'm going to do, just to show you what it would look like, is first of all, I'm going to break the text apart because I want to get rid of that line in there, which is quite annoying. That's gone, so let's delete that out. I'm going to pick the text up, and he wants that in white, and he also wants the globe in the middle. So the globe, we're going to print through our Mackie, and the text we can cut through our vinyl cutter, or we can run them all straight through a Mackie and the print cut system. But to do that, what you would need to do is, first off, you'd need to set the artwork up so it understands what it's doing. So let's quickly grab this artwork, Control C, copying it, and I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to put this down on the page, Control V, and I'm going to set this up to the size he wants. And he wants the logo in its entirety with the text at 200 millimeters round for argument's sake. So let's bring that across. Now I'm just going to drop in with right click on any one of these colours just so I can see that text. And that's badly lined up at the moment. I'm sorry about that. I did not line that up properly at all, did I? What I can do is I can set the centre point to there, to the world, and I can just spin that round. Spin it around the world just a little bit. There you go. Okay, so a Mamaki print cut system understands EPS files, and that's the file you need to import it as. Now, EPS file is an encapsulated PostScript file. It will see this component as a bitmap, raster image, and it will see this as text. So when you bring this in, I'm going to want you to convert this from text to curves, which basically means it won't try and change the type of font that you've got in the RIP software if this font is not installed on that computer that you transfer this file across to. That's not always the case, but in my experience, better safe than sorry. Okay, the last thing you want to do is set your printer off running 50 prints and come back to find that the font's all jumbled. And it's happened, okay, it happens. So when your machines, the RIP software, like your print cut system, your RIP software is going to be installed onto the printer that is directly installed to onto the computer that's directly installed to the printer. And they're going to give you a file to install on here, which we'll show you how to do in the practical demonstrations. And you'll install it just into a folder, and it's in the color palette folder. So I'm going to pick up this text and this circle. So I'm going to select both items by highlighting it all, and I'm going to come across over to the left hand side to the pen tool, pen outline, and I'm going to go down to outline color. Once I clicked on that, I can come across and change the palette, and here this is where, if that'll go away, out of the way, spot colors, this is where we install our cut paths. So in this case, I've got Roland installed on here where I was running a Roland printer. It's actually will work exactly the same from a Mackie as well. So I'm going to go across and select 100% contour cut, or cut contour in this case. They might be all named different things. No. Okay, so we're going to select the cut contour, and that's what the Mamaki is going to see. So as you can see now, the outline has been set to this like hairline magenta color, but it's actually got a name that's going to get picked up from the machine as it runs through and prints. What it's going to do is going to print it, and it's also going to see in the RIP that it's got a cut, and you can tell it to either print and cut or print. If it prints, it's going to print that white with that pink edge, which is probably not going to be what you want. But if you want it to print and cut, you rip it through, tell it to print and cut, and then the machine will actually do that. So to export this file, ready to go onto a USB or wherever you're going to do a hot folder or something, you are going to go to File, you're going to go to Export, you're going to go to PNG there. So you're going to change that to EPS, and you're going to give it a name like cut file, cut space, or something like that, whatever it is, design, and then you're going to hit enter. And you want to export the text as curves. You don't want it as text, just in case you have any of those problems. Even though there it says include fonts, just don't. And that will do it. You're going to press OK, and that's exported it. So that file now, you can just transfer it straight across. When you export files or save files, you'll see down the bottom here background tasks that are running.